Quiet, y'all. If you listen real closely, you can hear the hearts of the world whisper to you. Listen.
What is up, Troubler Nation? I'm your host, Killer.
That can't be right. That can't be right. Let me try that again. That's better. Well, howdy, y'all. The Black Critic Guy back with another video for Studio Ghibli Month. And today we'll be reviewing Whisper of the Heart. And joining me in this review is my good friend Memory, who will be taking the reins in this review, and I'll be interjecting here and there. What's up, Memory?
Hey everyone, Nate or Memory here, whatever you would like to call me, it doesn't really matter. Usually here on YouTube and the internet I go by Memory, but you can call me Nate, you can call me Memory, it doesn't really matter to me. That's not the important thing here though, my name, not important at all with what we're going to be talking about here. I'm here to give you all my take on the classic 1995 film Whisper of the Heart by the ever so famous Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. I say, as every anime fan, you should watch at least one Ghibli film. If you're an anime fan, you need to watch at least one Ghibli film in your lifetime. I say all of them, but you need to at least watch one, and Whisper of the Heart definitely would be one to start off with. If you want to get into Miyazaki films and Ghibli films, Whisper of the Heart would be a great one to start off with. Personally, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Ghibli film of all time. So let's get into the review. Whisper of the Heart, simply put, is a relaxing, feel-good coming-of-age story which revolves around two young teens, Shizuku and Seiji, who are both trying to find their path and their voice in the world. Shizuku is a junior high student who is an aspiring writer, while Seiji, on the other hand, is an aspiring violin crafter who also, he does play the violin every so often. The film does add muted fantasy elements as well as giving the viewer a sense of adventure, but even with that being incorporated into this film, which is a coming of age story, it doesn't shy away from that. It doesn't become a straight fantasy adventure show. It keeps that coming of age story there between Shizuku and Seiji. Most would say that this premise is cliche, and honestly, I would agree. But the way Miyazaki adds his little twist, that Ghibli touch to it, it makes it feel alive, it makes it feel relaxing. This is just a feel-good film. Starting off here with what I found to be the strong aspects of Whisper of the Heart, and let me tell you, oh boy, are there a lot of them. Much like any other Ghibli film that you watch, there are tons of strong aspects, things, lessons you can take from these films with very little weaknesses, to maybe even no weaknesses or flaws at all, and Whisper of the Heart is no exception to that. It is exactly that. The world of Whisper of the Heart feels so alive and beautiful, and it's presented in that way. It honestly feels like you are in this world with Shizuku and Seiji.
I totally agree with Memory on this point, though I'd like to add I was genuinely surprised at how grounded this world was. When I saw the poster for this film, this one right here, I thought it was going to be more of a fantasy adventure type film along the lines of My Neighbor Totoro, especially since Miyazaki wrote the screenplay for this film. Bet you didn't know that, did you? But instead, the film turned out to be more like Only Yesterday, which makes a whole lot of sense since the film is a slice of life, and there's nothing wrong with that, as it is still great.
And this came out, let me remind you, in 1995, and it definitely 100% holds up to what you see coming out today, and it holds up with every other Ghibli film for sure. The music used in Whisper of the Heart is honestly what I would find to be the strongest aspect of the film as a whole. If I had to give you one thing from this film that I would put above everything else, it would be the music, without a doubt. The insert songs used throughout so many of the scenes, especially the most impactful and most emotional scenes, did a tremendous job. Tremendous doesn't even explain it. They just did a phenomenal job of making you feel these moments and making you feel like you was there. And that song, Take Me Home, Country Roads, is playing over that. And you hear that song again at the very middle of the film, the midpoint, the most impactful, most important point, in my opinion, of the film, where Shizuku Shizuku and Seiji really bond and become very, very good friends for the first time. That's really when they see their love for each other, is when they're singing Take Me Home Country Roads together. And midway through that song, you see Seiji, his grandfather, and their friends. They come down into the basement and they're all playing the song together. That was just so beautiful. Definitely my favorite moment of Whisper of the Heart, and that's why the music has such a special place with me. Just the way the music made you feel in certain scenes, especially that scene I just mentioned. It's remarkable. It's a spectacle. It's beautiful, and I cannot say enough about the music in Whisper of the Heart. 10 out of 10 for the music, honestly. It just was so fitting, so relaxing, set the mood correctly, and I loved it. I really did. I cannot say enough about the music in Whisper of the Heart. Another thing that I found done tremendously with Whisper of the Heart is the way it works with its characters and the way you can relate and connect with the two main characters, Shizuku and Seiji, even with them being so young, even with them being junior high students. You could be going through your adolescence, you could be a young adult, you could be in your late 20s, early 30s, whatever age you are, and you can honestly relate with these two characters, even with them being so young, because what they're trying to do is find out what they want to be in life, what they want to do in life. They want to find their path, their voice in the world, and some people figure that out very, very quickly in life. Some people are still trying to find out, and some people sadly don't ever find out what they want to be or do in life. And that's why you can relate with Seiji and Shizuku so much, no matter what your situation is. With Whisper of the Heart, you have Shizuku, you get what she's going through as an individual, as a person. You get what Seiji's going through as an individual, as a person. And when they come together, you feel for both of them. You want them to be together. You're happy that they are together. And that's why I love the focus of Whisper of the Heart being Shizuku and Seiji and them trying to find their way in life. Shizuku as a writer and Seiji as a violin maker.
When I saw Shizuku and Seiji's relationship in this film, it reminded me so much of Sorata and Mashido's relationship in Sakuraso no Pet Nakanajo. Two talented people who form a strong bond and connection after spending a lot of time with each other. One of them gets really motivated to strive for their dreams and better themselves after seeing the other person's skills and ambitions, and they both fall in love with each other and have really cute dynamic relationships. I saw a lot of parallels between these two couples, and I wouldn't be surprised if the relationship in Sakuraso no Pet Nakanajo was inspired some parts to Whisper of the Heart. But besides our two leads, there were some good supporting characters throughout the film as well, like Yuko, Shizuku's best friend who's always there to support her and help her, and she has a crush on this guy named Sugimura. And because of her crush on this guy, it actually leads to a pretty interesting, albeit heartbreaking revelation in the middle of the film that hit way too close to home for me. In fact, I would go as far to say that this might have been the most relatable scene I've seen in a Studio Ghibli film so far. I mean, it got way too real, way too fast for me. And my heart truly goes out to Sugimura. I feel your pain, bro. I've been down that road before. It's painful, but you'll make it, man. You'll make it through.
There are two side characters I feel that definitely should be brought up and mentioned when talking about Whisper of the Heart and their impact on the story and their impact on Shizuku and Seiji as individuals. And the first one being the Baron. And the Baron is referred to as the helper of all. He is the leader of the mysterious cat bureau, and he is an artisan. And we knew from the very beginning of the film, when Shizuku first lays her eyes on the Baron statue in the shop, she falls in love with the statue. She loves it. She completely adores it. She loves being around it. She loves seeing it. And when he comes alive, the Baron, she is just, it's like she was in a dream when the Baron took her around the whole city and they're just in the sky flying around and just seeing everything down below. That was beautiful. The second being Seiji's grandfather. So much like how the Baron had a huge impact on Shizuku, Seiji's grandfather had a big, huge impact on him, because believe it or not, Seiji's parents didn't really believe in his dream. They didn't really believe in what he wanted to do. They didn't think he would be able to sustain himself, be happy with life if he was a violin maker. His grandfather, on the other hand, believed in him, believed in his dream, wanted him to be a violin maker, always was there to support him. And that was good for Seiji to have someone like that in his life and someone to be there for him, because when your parents aren't there for you like that, that's big. That is huge, and that could definitely, especially being a young junior high student, that could definitely have a big toll and a big impact on someone. So for his grandfather to be there for him was big. And of course, that scene that I brought up before in the middle of the film where Seiji's grandfather hears Shizuku and Seiji playing Take Me Home, Country Roads, and he comes down with his two friends and they all start playing together. I would honestly say that that is like one of my favorite scenes in anime. Definitely my favorite scene in Whisper of the Heart. That scene is just so beautiful, so breathtaking, so impactful. Now this is going to be me nitpicking a little tiny bit, and I don't really like doing this because honestly, in my eyes, Whisper of the Heart has no flaws. I could not find anything wrong or anything that I didn't like with it. But if I had to give you something, it would be the pacing. If you are not a fan of slow-paced shows, movies, you most likely wouldn't like this as much as, say, a Princess Mononoke with action-packed, action everywhere for the majority of the film. But it's understandable why the film is paced the way it is because of the story that's being told and how it is coming across. So if you're not a fan of slow-paced shows, this one may not be for you. I personally loved it, but that's just me nitpicking. Another thing would be the ending. The ending leaves off kind of open-ended, I would say, because you don't really know what's going on with Shizuku at the end. You do know that Seiji is going back to school. There is no kiss at the end. There is a very beautiful scene with both of them on the cliff at the end. It is beautiful, remarkable, but if they would have kissed, it would have made that scene just so much more beautiful than it already was, and I would have loved to see that. So those would be two things. If I had to give you any, it was very hard, much like any Ghibli film is, to point out flaws.
I too share in that nitpick. The pacing of the film is very slow, and there are scenes that do drag on for far too long. I mean, this film is nearly 2 hours long, and not much truly happens in the film, which kind of upset me a bit. But again, it is a slice of life film, so most of it is going to be very mundane situations. But there's another pressing issue with this film I must address because it really angered me by the end of the film, and that's the fact that we were given absolutely no resolution to the subplot dealing with Yuko and Sugimura. I mean, after we learn that Yuko has feelings for Sugimura, which leads him to reveal who he likes, they don't really explore this subplot any further, and they give us no resolution as to what happens between them and what happens to the characters. Do they end up going out with each other? Does Sugimura kind of try to get over the girl that he likes, or does he keep on pressing on it? I mean, literally, they just drop it completely. They never bring it up in the film after Sugimura reveals who he likes. And what truly sucks is that subplot could have led to some real, raw, emotional drama among the characters involved and led to some character development for Yuko, Sugimura, and the other girl. But nope, they completely drop it and don't really explore these characters any further. I mean, Miyazaki, you're a better writer than that. How did you drop the ball so epically with this?
Overall, Whisper of the Heart is a very tremendous, feel-good, coming-of-age romantic story between two strong main characters in my eyes, Shizuku and Seiji, who are both, like I said, just trying to find their way in life and what they want to do and how they're going to do it, and just find their path, their voice in the world. And you see from the very beginning of the film to the very end of the film the steps they take and just how much they progress, both as individuals and as a romantic couple together, of course. And it's just fantastic. It is a treat to watch. I would definitely recommend it to anyone and everyone. If you just want to get into a Ghibli film for the first time, I would put this up there with Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke. It's a more underrated Ghibli film, I would say, but it's definitely worth the watch. If you're a fan of the slice of life, romance genres, this is definitely right up your alley.
Overall, Memory basically said everything that I thought about the film as well. I thought it was enchanting, it was fun, the relationship between Shizuku and Seiji was sweet, touching, and I did like some of the fantasy elements in the story. It's just a really well done Studio Ghibli film, and I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I do think that it's definitely worth watching.
When Tony the Black Critic Guy came to me with this whole Studio Ghibli idea for this month, and he asked me which movie I wanted to review, I was like, Whisper of the Heart better be available. Whisper of the Heart better be available. And it was, and I'm so happy that I was able to share my views, thoughts, and opinions on Whisper of the Heart with Tony and with all of you. And I want to thank you all so much for listening to me. And definitely, this would be a 10 out of 10 if you didn't know. because I couldn't even find any flaws with this, and it's hard to do that with a lot of Ghibli films. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching once again, and take me home, country roads. Remember that.
But as always, guys, we're not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to Whisper of the Heart. We would love to know what you guys thought about the film as well. Did you absolutely adore it? Is it your favorite Studio Ghibli film of all time? Or did you find it really slow, daunting, boring, you hate slice of life? And let me know, what is the realest moment you've ever seen in a Studio Ghibli film? Comment below, let me know. I want to take this time to personally thank my boy Nate, aka Memory, for joining me in this review. Man, it was such a pleasure to have you, and please go check his channel out. And as always, guys, you know, more videos are on the way, whether it be Studio Ghibli, movie reviews, anime reviews. Just hang in there, guys. So many videos to come, and you're gonna love them, I promise you that. If you would like to support the Black Critic Guy just a smidge more, why not donate to my Patreon account? Link is in the description. And if you want to send me any lovely fan letters or fan art, you can send it to this PO box right up here. Go ahead and do that. And as always, guys, if you would like to see more videos on this channel, not miss a single Studio Ghibli review, and be a part of the Black Critic crew, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'll tell you about the second, listening to the hearts of the world whisper to me as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube!